take it back. I'm sure the help's going to ask you, what's the one that's still one of those you get better than that? You got more girls. So like, what is it? I remember the dorms back when I was a kid, I was doing $700 for the residential or whatever. And it's at least that much when I rent a house. What I think. Yeah, you go over there and get screwed up. I don't care. I just like it. I look at the bottom. I scroll down. You can look at that bottom. Yeah.
Sure. Every day.
They're very good. Very good. Just tell them. What's this? Everybody's asking you? No.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, they always know.
That's right. It's all predetermined.
Ain't late the clock again.
How many people would think she can? It's not
Not that.
No, I just want to see the numbers. Like, they don't, well, people
Oh, would they have no affiliation on that?
I didn't get the message about y'all's lunch about 9 o'clock.
Oh, I need to move? Oh, I'll move down.
I would love to go.
And every time they came in to call, it's just like, yeah. I'm moving, they can move it further away. They can't hit me. Throw stuff. Alright.
Like, you can't ask them any questions.
I've already asked her once, she told me to leave.
Because you and Angie,
I've been there.
Angie's feeding me the question.
give me a couple hours. Because she asked for like 1,000 a day.
There you go.
We're gonna go, Wednesday morning, we got to read. Ain't no way in the world it might be hotter here today. Shoot, it's cold in a Waffle House.
You gotta prepare, man.
It is cold.
Always. Always. You're in the minority.
That's all right. Hey,
Y'all are tougher.
38
I wish I was
degrees,
tougher.
you ain't
I
me.
wish I was.
Right, have that hang up meeting. Go with the wall. I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
I can't take it.
All right, go ahead and call this August the 6th, 2026 work session to order this morning. Want to just say thanks to all of those that are in attendance. A lot of work goes into budget preparation, a lot of work, especially all on the part of our department heads and staff, city manager, Ramona, and finance. And so we are appreciative of all the work that they do, putting all of this together and coming forward with a budget to the commission. Just as a reminder, when I say this every time we have a work session, this allows the commissioners to come together all at once in order to hear a report on a topic and be able to ask questions to the staff, the city manager, and the staff as well. We are not here for interaction, and so if you want that, you have to see me after the meeting. But during the meeting, if we will, this will be just for, this is for the commission to be able to hear the information and ask questions as we move forward with a very important decisions. So with that, City Clerk, if you will, take note that we're all in attendance except for Commissioner Pierce. I hear a ring coming on. I think we will have Commissioner Kirksey here in just a moment. So with that, City Manager, I'm turning it over to you and your team to present us the budget, please.
Thank you, sir. As y'all recall, last year we did a one-year budget to get it more on the cycle with incoming commissions so that a new commission would not have to have only 2 years with their budget. So this gets us back to our 2-year term, our biennial budget, and doing it every 2 years. I do want to thank all the department heads for all their work putting this together, as well as especially Ramona and her team in finance. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Marcus.
Morning. Morning.
So our budget goals for this year for the 27 and 28 budget is to be fiscally responsible, maintain our fund balance reserves of 8 to 17% of our budgeted expenditures, reserve funds for capital improvement projects as we go. We maintain our 6-year forecast, 6-year capital improvement plan. And by April the 15th of each year, we present to you a mid-biennium budget, our mid-year budget, to request funding for any unfunded projects. We like to fund the strategic plan action items of the commission. We have continued to maintain our infrastructure, facilities, resurfacing, and fleet funding. We've maintained a competitive pay for the staff. We continue to maintain the financial integrity of the self-insured programs, your workers' comp, self-insured, and employee benefit programs. And we continue to maintain the sewer system and other utility services. Just a brief summary here of the budget summary for 2027. The total budget for 2027 is $291 million. It includes revenue in the general fund of $126 million, utility fund $156, solid waste $7.7, and the school fund of $455,000. Expenses for the general fund are $144 million, $123 million for utility fund, $13 million for solid waste, and right at $4 million for school fund. To balance the budget, we had transfers among funds. The utility fund is transferring $32.6 million to the general fund. The general fund transferring $1 million to the debt service fund, $4.9 to the public building authority, $5.4 to the solid waste fund, and then the utility fund is transferring $3.5 to the school fund. The budget for 2028 is very similar. It is less than 2027 at $286 million. And we have transfers from the utility fund of $28.9 million and transfers to the solid waste fund of $6 million. A summary of your two major funds, the general fund and utility fund, are on the screen. So beginning at fiscal year end this year, October, and starting the new year, October 1, we're estimating a beginning fund balance in the general fund of $14.5 million, utility fund $44.6 million. You'll see the revenues and expenditures for the year, the transfers in and out among funds. Our fund balance reserves of $13.1 million we're taking out for general fund, $17.2 million for utility fund, giving us an unassigned fund balance at year-end 27 estimated at $20 million. For For 2028, we roll those numbers forward that were at the end of 2027. You see our revenues and expenditures for 28, our transfers, our fund balance reserves, and at the end of 28, we're estimating an unassigned fund balance of $16 million. So our fund balance reserves for solid waste, general fund, and utility fund are currently at $30,916,000. These are funds we set aside and have invested that we hope to never touch unless we have an economic downturn or disaster in our area. These do not include your fund balance reserves for workers' comp or self-insured or employee benefit that are an additional $12.5 million. So our strategy for our fund balance reserves is to reserve 8 to 17% of our budgeted expenses and transfers. This would be a minimum of $26 million to a maximum of $55 million, and we're currently right at $31 million, or 9.5%. Your revenue for the general fund for 2027 is $126.9 million. You can see sales and use tax make up over 75% of that at $95,280,000. Property tax is your next largest revenue source at $6.6 million. For 2028, the revenue is essentially the same. It did increase by $105,000, and that was due to an extra $100,000 from the Wiregrass Foundation for the training center debt, and $5,000 was just miscellaneous revenue. So sales and use tax for 2027 and 2028 is budgeted at $25,280,000. We were able to increase it slightly by $280,000. We increased the vape tax by $100,000, alcohol tax by $80,000, and manufacturing by $100,000. So currently we're at $3.5 million over budget, this year's budget, and we've collected $1.1 million more than we did last year. But we continue to budget very conservatively for sales tax. Your property tax revenue is budgeted at $6.6 million. This year, we've received $5.7 million in property tax and $800,000 in vehicle tax. We were able to increase this revenue by $300,000 for the budget. Business license revenue for 27 and 28 is budgeted at $5.1 million. We did increase the budget by $500,000. This year, we've received $3.2 million in business license revenue, $742,000 for our utility providers inside the city, and $1.2 million from insurance companies, for a total of $5.2 million. So this is a summary of changes in the revenue for 2027 compared to 2026. Taxes, we increased $630,000. License, $524,900. Intergovernment revenue decreased $992,000, and that's from an accounting entry for the Wiregrass Foundation contribution each year for the Innovation Center. General government revenue increased $2.8 million. That's essentially not an increase in cash coming in. This year, we combined our Civic Center fund with our general fund. So this is a transfer from that fund to the general fund of $2.5 million for Civic Center. And we were able to increase revenue $300,000 for leisure services programs. Fines and forfeitures had a net decrease of $25,000, and miscellaneous income increased $232,000. And that is, we got an additional $80,000 to $100,000 from the Innovation Center lease, and the difference is interest income. So your expenditures for the general fund budget are budgeted at $150,606,000. $144 million is personnel, operating, and capital, and $6 million for debt. So you can see we've got 17.8 million programmed in for capital projects. For 2028, the budget is 146,428,000. This also includes 14.7 million for capital projects, and you can see the breakdown by department. Please let me know if I'm going too fast. So in the general fund, we have what we consider our administrative and support services. These are made up of general admin department, IT, finance, personnel, general services. We've got judicial and our agency support. This is the amount in 27 and 28 for each department. Our general services is 14.7 million in 27 and 15.1 in 28. And this includes your citywide fleet maintenance, all of your insurance programs, self-insured and workers' comp, and your building maintenance programming. Also included in support services is judicial. Your agency support programmed at 10.3 million for 27 and 5.4 million in 28. The big decrease there is the contribution to Hudson Alpha annually. And your debt service at 6 million for City Hall and the Wiregrass Training Center. So administrative and support services make up 34% of the budget for 2027. So public safety for 27 and 28 is budgeted at 57.6 million and 59.8 million for 28. This includes capital and police and fire. Police, we've got the 2.6 million for the Axon Real-Time Crime Center and radio maintenance citywide. Your public works departments make up engineering, traffic, street, and planning and development for a total of 17.4 million in 27 and 17.7 million in 28. Engineering and traffic division includes 500,000 annually for traffic signal upgrades citywide. The street department includes resurfacing of 3 million in 27 and 3.25 million in 28. Culture and recreation budget is 23.1 million and 20.7 million. We did move, like I mentioned earlier, the Civic Center Fund to the general fund this year. For leisure services, we've got programmed in 2.6 million for an all-wheels park, 600,000 for ball field lighting upgrades, and 65,000 for playground replacements. This page is a little hard to see on the screen. This is your agency funding that's being recommended for 27 and 28. For 2027, 10.3 million, and for 2028, 5.4 million. So I break down how the agency money is spent in the community. The economic development amount of 5.7 million is Hudson Alpha and the Chamber of Commerce. Public transportation at 120,000 is the Southeast Regional Planning Commission, Wiregrass Transit Program, and airport lighting for the entrance road to the airport. Public safety, the 100,000 is the DA's office. Cultural, the 1.6 million is the library. Art and public places, the Wiregrass Museum of Art, Landmark Park, Botanical Gardens, and the George Washington Carver Museum. Tourism, 1.9 is the lodging tax. We're pass on to Visit Dothan, and it also includes the 100,000 for the Main Street USA program. Community services of 803,000 include the health department, Wiregrass 211, Wiregrass Pets, Von Bloomberg, Sarcoa, and Spectra Care. For 2028, agency funding is at $5,471,000. The decrease here is in the economic development category. The $885,000 is for the Chamber of Commerce.
Why is it such a huge decrease from 27 to 28?
In 27, we're funding Hudson Alpha,
Okay, it drops off.
$4,850,000, and yes.
Okay.
So the history of your general fund expenditures from 2021 are on the graph. In 2026, our original budget was $135 million. In 27, we're projected to be $144 million, and in 28, $140.3. The big increases you see in 25 and 26 on the graph are due to capital projects that have been completed. So a summary of the changes in the expenditures. And the 27 column is from the 2026 original budget to 27, and the 28 column is from the 2027 budget to 28. So salaries and benefits will increase $1.9 million. In 27, operating expenditures $4.7 million, and this includes the $2.5 million transfer from the Civic Center Fund, an additional $1 million for software licensing fees, and this year, we have seen an increase in property insurance, so we included another $500,000 for insurance expense. Agency funding is decreasing from the original budget in 26, and then will decrease again in 28. In capital items, we had a net increase of $2.5 million, and the capital will go back down in 2028. For the school fund, we're recommending a cash appropriation of the same level funding at $3.7 million for both years. Our operating, printing, and uniform budget is $63,000, and that's printing of the tobacco stamps at the city clerk's office, sales, and just operating supplies for school crossing guards and uniforms for school crossing guards. The salaries for those crossing guards is $178,000 in the first year. In addition to this 3.9 that we provide the schools, there is an additional $2.2 million for the school resource officers and protection officers that are budgeted in the chief's budget. So utility fund revenue for 2027 is budgeted at $156.3 million. You can see the breakdown between electric, water, and sewer. For 2027, we are proposing that we use 8.7 from fund balance to balance the budget. For 2028, the budgeted revenues are $151,553,000. This amount is less than 27. Our transfer to general fund was not as much. So we did not have to use as much fund balance money to balance. Your electric sales revenue is budgeted at $91.8 million. For 2026 through July, we've collected $7.2 million. You can see the revenue for electric sales will fluctuate, but overall, since 2021, we have not seen an increase in revenue. Water sales are budgeted at $12,597,000. Although we have the 2.5% rate increase each year, the city continues to see little revenue growth in water and in sewer.
Doesn't the electric rate get, ticked up every year automatically because of a past resolution or something like that?
The electric rate,
Or is it electrical water that's water?
water and sewer do.
It seems like more houses, how would that number not go up? How could it go up and go down? I guess
Yeah.
based on the amount of heat or based on the temperature. Kind of the same thing with the property tax. That property tax getting hiked up every year because the values automatically increase. How does that number stay the same?
Well, we were able to increase property tax this year. It was 300,000 or 500,000. Electric revenue, let me go back a minute. So electric revenue, this is just from the sales, not other fees that we have, not our prepaid fees or delinquent fees. So you can see it really fluctuates with the weather for electric. There's been no rate increase since 2016.
Okay.
But I
And,
think electric is more focused on the weather.
And then and I guess Houston County, just property values, do they do that every couple of years or every?
I believe so, they do.
Yeah, so you
And
may
we
not
have,
see.
yeah, we have seen a slight increase in property tax revenue. Your sewer revenue continues to be budgeted at $22.8 million. So this is a
Hey,
summary
hey,
of the
Ramona.
changes. Yes,
I'm
sir.
sorry about that. I'd like to add on to what Commissioner Bedwell just said, or just ask a question about that. So I think he brings up a good point. If we are growing in the city, where, new development, new growth and so forth, why are we not seeing an increase in the revenue, at least on some of these? I understand like our electric rates have not gone up, which is a good thing, and I support that. But why are we not seeing an increase in revenue if we have more houses, more businesses, so on and so forth?
Now, on electric, we're limited to our territory, and Angie can help me out on this better. But, we've got areas inside the city limits that are serviced by Wiregrass Electric and Alabama Power.
Right.
So, we may see a little bit of growth, but we have not seen a tremendous amount of growth in the number of customers.
That's correct. So we're bounded on a state law as far as utility boundaries of where we can serve within the city limits.
Okay.
As far as water, we're seeing more and more water conservation with the customers, and so they're just using less water.
Okay.
Electric is very weather dependent, so is water and irrigation use, depending on the amount of rainfall you get. They may not be using as much of their irrigation system, and they are conserving more water. And then we do have a 2.85% increase on the rates for water and sewer.
Yeah, so
And
even with those
sewer-
built-in increases, we're not really seeing much revenue increase. That's what I noticed. It's like, Mhm.
Yeah, and it also could be that with the change of the business model, wherever brick and mortar may not be important, residential may be going up on that, and, one big store that's not there could drop the rest of it down possibly.
Yes, sir.
Take the extra revenue away.
All right, thank you.
It's a good question. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
We did have some slight increases in revenue for electrical. We increased our prepay and connection fees by $50,000. Water, just miscellaneous revenue for $5,000. Sewer revenue, we increased by $110,000, and that was strictly from providing services to the surrounding towns around us. Miscellaneous revenue for interest increased $610,000, and accumulated depreciation is just a wash with depreciation expense. Our utility fund expenses for 2027 are $123,714,000. You can see our biggest expense is a power purchase for resale. We've got capital projects programmed in at just under $5.5 million, and debt service of just over $9 million. For 2028, the expenses decreased to $122,630,000. Your debt service decreased to 7.7 compared to $9 million the prior year. Capital is funded at $4.5 million, about $1 million less than 2027. So your operational cost for your utility services for electric is $15.9 million in 27, and this includes capital also. $16.5 million in 28, water 7.6 and 8.3 million, collection 4.1 and 4.2, treatment 7.3 and 6 million in 28, and treatment is decreasing in 28 because we have a large capital item funded in 27 but not in 28. And collections and services at 2.8 and 2.9. Your power purchase for resale, 61 million. Debt service, we talked about 9 million and 7.7, and that's without any new additional debt. So your utility expenses from 2021 through the 28 budget are remaining pretty consistent. 2027 at 123 million and 28 at 122 million. 26 is estimated at 145 million, but we had some large capital projects in this fiscal year. So some of the changes in expenses, we increased salaries and benefits, 501,000 in 27 and 887 in 28. Operating expenses go down. Capital improvement projects increased 450,000 in 27 and went back down in 28.
Ramon, maybe you mentioned, but that $8.5 million decrease in operating expenses, is that because of the capital improvements, or was it?
The 8.7 is a net just operating expenses, not capital, and that's mainly from decrease in power purchase cost. Solid waste fund revenues for 2027 are budgeted at 7.7 million. And this, I know we've had discussions about rate increases. This does not include any proposed rate increases. But an additional rate increase would generate in 2027 $2.2 million. In 2028, we've got budgeted revenues programmed in at 7.7 also. And the additional rate increase, if approved, would generate an additional $3.8 million in 2028. And this is your solid waste collection revenue, remaining consistent at $4.5 million. So changes in revenue from 2027 are only currently decreased. Miscellaneous revenue increased for interest by $17,000. We had to reduce our landfill revenue that we had programmed in for 2026. We haven't seen the number of commercial haulers come back to the landfill as we anticipated, and we increased accumulated depreciation. Your solid waste expenses for 2027 are $13.1 million. This requires a transfer from the general fund of $5,469,000. Solid waste expenses for 28 are $13.7 million and will require a transfer from the general fund of $6,025,000.
Just an idea of what the transfers would be if we went to the new rate structure.
If we went to the new rates in 27, it would be $3.2 million, and in 28, $2,225,000.
All right, thank you. Does the landfill take cash, or like most haulers come in there and they're on account?
That we have an account we bill them for.
You said we had a reduction in that area. Is that where the decrease came in at?
Yes, sir, we had a reduction. We reduced the revenue by $175,000 when we opened back up the landfill February, I'm not sure what, earlier this year. We did not see the amount of commercial haulers that we thought would come back to us.
Okay. Did they just start using other landfills or found it cheaper? Or?
They're continuing to use where they've been hauling it.
Yeah, and they may not just know we're open again, I mean, we maybe could do a little outreach in that area.
So this is a summary of the breakdown between collections and landfill expenses. Collections are $10.2 million in 28 and $11,046,000 in 10.2 in 27 and $11,046,000 in 28. And your landfill expenses are 1.3 and just under 1.1 million in '28. And they're going down in '28 because of capital that was funded in '27 but not in '28. So this graph again shows your expenses for the solid waste fund from 2021 through 2028. So a summary of the changes in expenses in solid waste. Salaries have increased $273,000. Operating expenses for property insurance increased $24,000. And capital improvements, we funded an additional $1.1 in '27. So your general fund capital for 2027 is funded at $17,815,000. Most of these capital projects you see listed here are items that we fund each year. We were able to increase resurfacing $250,000 in 2027 to fund $3 million for resurfacing projects. We also added $2.6 million for the All Wheels Park and an additional $234,000 for the Fuel Master Update. And the Fuel Master Update is a software program that manages the fleet, the fuel going into the fleet and then coming over to the general ledger.
Are the vehicles just that normal rotation of replacement?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
yes. Andy has the fleet on a scheduled
Okay,
rotation.
thank you.
For the utility fund, all of the first items are items that we fund annually. We did add $1.4 million for the Little Chattahoochee screen refurbishment and bypass piping. And in solid waste fund, we added an additional $650 for vehicles, $227,000 and $269,000 for knuckle boom trailers and roll-off containers and an air burner at the landfill. So total capital funding in the '27 budget is $25.5 million. In 2028, we have those same items that are normally funded in the budget. Again, we were able to add $250,000 to resurfacing. For '28, bumping up the resurfacing from last year from '27 at $3 million to $3,250,000. So the utility fund capital funding includes $4.5 million and solid waste $2.5. So for 2028, your capital funding is $21.7 million. So personnel salaries and benefits for 2027 is estimated at $116,413,000. We won't spend all of that. We have several vacant positions and do so every year. In 2028, budget is estimated to be $121,415,000. So in the personnel and benefit budgets, we've included a 2% cost of living, performance increases of 1 to 3%. We have funded our previously added positions, and we have recommendations for new positions to fund. Those positions are an assistant pretrial coordinator, a crime analyst, a senior crime analyst, a senior public safety UAV operator, and also fund shift differential pay for not only public safety, but all of our departments who have employees working second or third shift.
Ramona,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but back on personnel, with the COLA and a performance increase, do you know what typically our average percentage increase is across the board?
For COLA and performance. So COLA for the past few years, we have budgeted 2%.
Right,
And
but we
performance, the 1 to 3 is normally around a 2, the average is 2%. Yes. So for the first year for 2027, we're budgeting the COLA from October through September. But the performance increase, we're only budgeting for 6 months because that doesn't happen until March of each year.
You're doing that at 2% maybe, is that what you're saying? averaging?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the consumer price index is right around 4%, so that's why we chose what we did.
And all these salaries and benefits, that don't include no retirement at all, does it?
It does.
Oh, it does.
Yes.
So, oh yeah, I see it right there.
So yes, it includes retirement cost of $18.4 million.
As time goes on, that number can get higher and higher. Oh, yeah.
We've got a slide I'll show you in just a minute. We've also included 10 additional firefighter positions that we did not budget for, but we authorized those, and those allows the chief to stay ahead of the game with his retirements and vacant positions, so he's got people going through training in the fire school to be ready to go on a truck when he does have vacancies. And that money will be absorbed from those vacant positions.
Oh, in the past, if somebody retired, somebody just had to work overtime before that spot could be ready.
Yeah, it requires overtime, and then we have a vacancy.
Yeah.
We hire someone today, it's probably close to 10 months before we get one.
Okay.
So that's what it's.
So without this, you got extra expense of overtime or vacant or whatever. Okay. All right, thanks.
This slide shows you salary and benefits by department. You can see that public safety are your two largest departments and make up 43% of the salary and benefit budget. For 28, same scenario, your public safety, of course, are your top two. So health insurance for employees is provided by Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we are self-insured. Blue Cross is projecting our claims to be $17.3 million for 2027. Our current premium structure generates $13.7 million. I know there's a gap there, but Blue Cross always estimates high. I don't think we've ever reached their projected amount in any given year. So at this time, we're proposing no increase of premiums to the city or to the employee. We currently have $3.4 million in our employee health insurance reserve account. So RSA payments for 2027 are projected to be 23.07 of covered payroll for Tier 1 and 23.78 for Tier 2. They're budgeted at $18.4 million. And Commissioner Bedwell, you can see here the increase from 23 through what we're estimating now. We are currently funded at 49% of our retirement with RSA. The outstanding debt as of this October 1st will be $150,644,560. 43% of that, or $65 million, is sewer. Water is $9.2 million, or 6%. Public Safety Center, which is paid by the Wiregrass Foundation, is 6.9%. And our City Hall campus, $65 million. We've got several bond issues that make up the debt. In 2030, we'll have 3 issues that will be paid off. And you can see our final debt payment right now is scheduled for 2046. So in 2027, the principal and interest payments are just under $15 million. At the end of 27, without any new additional debt, we'll owe $140 million. You can see the decrease over the next 5 years without any new debt. So just to do a recap, the financial condition of the city is strong. We have a healthy fund balance. We continue to grow our permanent reserves. We have a strong credit rating. We're well under our constitutional debt limit. That is currently at $248 million, and we're at $150 million. Our sales tax revenue remains stable. Our utility fund revenue funds have remained stable, and we continue to look for federal funds for infrastructure projects. The city continues to focus on capital planning and strategic planning. The chamber and the city continue to partner for industrial development and commercial redevelopment. We have $500,000 budgeted in the programmed in the budget for economic development projects, and this includes the annual payment for the Westgate Super Site and an economic development project we entered into a couple of years ago for Southern Roots. We've got $100,000 programmed in for brownfield remediation and the 4.8 for Hudson Alpha in 2027. We are continuing to meet the infrastructure needs, transportation, utilities, and technology needs with the capital budget. We're meeting our public safety needs, continuing to ensure quality of life through recreation and cultural activities. We've got money programmed in for maintaining city facilities. We're continuing our downtown redevelopment investment, maintaining healthy neighborhoods and affordable housing, and as I mentioned earlier, economic development. In downtown, we've opened the Wiregrass Innovation Center this past year, Porter Park Plaza. City Hall is scheduled to open in February and March with the annex opening in December. We have funds programmed in for lighting improvements downtown, traffic signal upgrades, and sidewalks. Housing rehab and affordable housing continues to be a priority of the commission. We're funding Wiregrass Habitat in conjunction with CDBG allocations, and we're collaborating with the Dothan Housing Authority and local builders for low and moderate income areas. We also continue to invest in technology citywide. We've got programmed in $515,000 for computer and software upgrades, mobile data terminals for public safety, security cameras and server upgrades, our Fuel Master upgrade that we mentioned earlier, and $1.1 million for citywide software modernization. We've included in the budget $2.6 million for the real-time crime center, police vehicles of $1.8, $70,000 for aviation support, and $73,000 for license plate readers. We are also continuing to budget to maintain our facilities, make them ADA compliant, and replace aging fleet. Facility repairs, we've got $1,250,000 programmed in annually. And you can see our fleet numbers, $3.1 million for general fund, $1 million for utility fund, and then solid waste, $1.7 and $2.5 million. The All Wheels Park funding of $2.6 million is included. Wiregrass splash pad of $375,000 is included in this year's budget. We've programmed in $600,000 for field lighting upgrades across the city, $65,000 for playground replacements, and $300,000 for our leisure services master plan.
That also includes a senior center.
Yes, sir.
In that master plan.
Yes, sir. Transportation citywide includes $3 million in 27 and $3.25 million in 28 for resurfacing, $500 for traffic signal upgrades, $100,000 for bridge maintenance and repairs, and $250 for sidewalk additions and improvements.
Hey, Ramona, I don't know if you remember, but I know we've tried to increase the paving resurfacing through the year. So this isn't the first time we've increased it in the last 5 years. I think we've tried to
Yes,
move that up.
I can remember when we were at $2 million,
Yeah.
and I know we've gradually increased it.
Okay.
It seems like $250,000 each year for several years.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yes, sir.
Randy, a question on that. Is that just keeping up with the cost of construction, or are we actually being able to pave more roads with that type of increase per year?
It does keep up with the cost of construction, but I do believe it will get a little more resurfacing as well.
What's it costing per mile just to strip down and just retopple?
You have that, Tommy?
We're around 109,000 miles right now. That varies depending on
Is that one lane or two?
the amount of effort that goes into it, what we have to mill existing surface, reduce structure upgrades.
Is that just the resurfacing, not counting milling? And is that for a full, regular neighborhood, 30-foot wide road?
That would be an average number, and the width always varies, and we're seeing
Right.
more and more where we do have to mill the roads where they've already been resurfaced.
Right.
multiple times, bring that back down to that curve line or whatever we do.
So 190, if there's no other work, but there's other work that could double possibly.
Yeah, it can go up, yes.
I think it's a good number for everybody to know. I didn't know that number.
In the utility fund, we've included additional funds for the electric system, $350,000 for direct buried secondary replacement, $1 million for vehicles, $950,000 for vegetation management, which is tree trimming along the lines, $500,000 for substation improvements, and $290,000 for transmission line replacements. For the sewer system, we've included $1.4 million for screen replacements at Little Chattahoochee Treatment Plant, $800,000 in 2027, and $1.3 million for red water main replacements. For for solid waste collections, we've included additional funding for vehicles, knuckle boom trailers, and roll-off containers, and an air burner at the landfill. So there are many projects that were not able to be funded this year that we've identified as conditional. These include a fire pumper truck replacement and fire ladder truck replacement, the Wiregrass pool and restroom renovations, Leisure Services Administrative Building, Miracle Field Playground. For Public Works, many of these projects listed here will have grant funding. 84 West eastbound lane from North Shady Lane to Bel Air. There's several MPO resurfacing projects planned. We have not addressed the Westgate and John D. Odom Road resurfacing, and we have several Safe Street projects that are scheduled and planned out.
Hey, Ramona, can we talk about conditional funding for a minute, please?
Yes, sir.
So we have these items on here, a lot of these very important, fire trucks and, numerous things. I know we've had some discussion about the Miracle Field Playground in the past and, all of these things so important. How are we prioritizing and under what circumstances would we find that we can fund these things, budget excess, so on and so forth?
Yes, sir. We watch the budget, throughout the year, and as we're seeing, if we're seeing revenues continue to come in good above what our budget numbers are, then we can make a decision at that point to bring it forward to the commission for approval.
So all the agency funding, everything we have programmed in, all well and good, these things still have no funding allocated towards them?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any level of priority for these conditional items? Is it dependent on how long they've been on the conditional budget in past years, or how are they prioritized?
A lot of that direction comes from the commission as to what y'all see. A lot of it comes from our department heads as things that, it may be that we've been pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and we can't push it anymore. So we are pretty much forced to do some of these projects. We listed on there the fire pumper truck and the fire ladder truck. Well, we have a certain amount programmed every year for fire truck replacement. Those costs have gone beyond what that budget is, so it's not that we're going to have to completely fund all of that. We'll just have to fund the extra.
We get that opportunity to direct that, and it does change from year to year. so-
It does.
But we'll all have that opportunity to decide the prioritization with city manager and
Yep.
department heads, so. On the fire truck, pumper trucks, and, I know there's been some lawsuits that are out there because the costs continue to go up, way up. I hope that we continue to keep monitoring that as well, and possibly talk to our state delegation about state legislation, because it's continues to hurt cities across the state, and it makes it harder and harder for them to provide good and proper fire service.
Yes, sir. We've gotten 3 proposals from different law firms about joining a lawsuit. We're evaluating those right now, and we'll be bringing that to you shortly in a future commission meeting.
Are the fire trucks not doing what they're supposed to, or they keep just increasing prices?
They keep increasing the prices, and that's being directed by a limited number of
Antitrust.
Manufacturers,
manufacturers.
a lot of manufacturers
Monopoly over it.
combined.
So they keep making that cost go up. The cities are the ones that have to bear that burden.
On some of these things that are conditional funding, like Westgate, I've heard that some of these roads, if we don't do them in a certain period of time, they degrade. It gets even more expensive because then the substructure has to be redone and so forth.
Correct.
So some of these might be more of a priority just because the fact that if we don't do it at a certain time, it maybe doubles the cost or something to that effect.
Yes, sir. That's what I was referring to is, those 2 resurfacing projects have been on the conditional funding for the last couple of years. It's just with the amount of that they cost, we just didn't have the available funding. But when we get to the point it's okay, we got to do it this year, then we'll do what we can and find the money.
Thank you.
So, and my memory's a little foggy, we increased the chamber in 2024 due to one of the positions downtown wasn't going to be done downtown anymore. So we moved that money to the chamber, and we had a $750,000 spend last year, and we're increasing another 100 plus this year. But then that money we spent on that is going back to, and it spends under Main Street USA, which is a great program. What is the increase for this year?
The increase is $135,000 for the economic development lobbyists that this chamber is funding.
And what's that cost a year? I'm just curious.
$135,000.
$135,000.
Is that salary?
That's the defense lobbyist.
That's the defense law.
Ah, I got
That's
you.
the
Salary of the
Okay.
lobbyist?
Contract.
Yeah, I follow. All right, well, that makes sense. Thank you.
The increase a few years ago was when we stopped funding DDRA and the chamber took over operations of the DDRA. So we just transferred the funding from DDRA to the chamber.
That's right. And then,
And we decreased it at the
Just
time.
part of it, yeah.
which is, that fund is kind of the same thing we're funding now for Main Street, isn't it, pretty much, on another
It's-
line item?
It's completely different. The reason we decreased it when we moved it to the chamber was they weren't putting on programs and all that kind of stuff that DDRA used to do. We made it function more like DDRAs or should do, and that's handling the redevelopment of property downtown.
So you got,
Are you guys on Main Street USA, like that funding, where it's going to?
yeah, because it's going on another line item down there. I was just making sure that wasn't the same thing we gave them 100 for. So basically, Main Street's doing programs, and this is just handling the other DDRA functions pretty much. Yeah, so, yeah, I follow you. So a DDRA probably had a much bigger budget than 100,000. So,
They did.
so now you're just kind of splitting it between the two. That's all I needed to know.
Yep.
Additionally funded for the electric system is an emergency electric source station, which will be funded with Energy Southeast funds, Monument Loop transmission line, and Haven Loop transmission line design, and pole staking software for the electric system. The water system includes a deep well and transmission main, and a tank rehab for the Pettis tank. Sewer system conditional funding is identified as the Westgate sewer trunk line and the Cypress Creek wastewater treatment plant and upgrade that's under design now, and then we'll have additional SRF funds for that project. included in the packet that Randy sent earlier this week was resolutions that will be on the agenda September the 1st. And also included on the table today was the chamber resolution that was not included in that email. So we would ask for any comments, revisions, suggestions, or recommendations by August the 24th, so we can have the budget resolutions on the agenda for your consideration on September 1st.
Just one question, or maybe two.
Yes, sir.
One, we've talked in the past about transportation, and every election cycle I hear the same thing about that being a particular important topic. And so I'm just curious, are there some ways that we can continue to work on that and increase that as well?
So we have a transportation plan that's ongoing right now as far as public transportation. And once that comes back, we'll present that to y'all and then see what direction, if any, you want to take, and then we can move in that direction.
Okay. So, because I do think that and housing continues to be two topics that as we decrease our capital project spending, which is happening in 27 and 28, that maybe some of the focus would be a little bit more on some of that quality of life issues, such as transportation and housing as well. Yes, thank you for that. I will say, agencies have asks and needs, and departments always have a list of conditional funding and wants and desires, and so balancing this out is a very difficult task. And so, again, I would say thank you for all of the work as well. I do appreciate the fact that, the city and the last few commissions have voluntarily set aside, 8 to 17% and fund for a fund balance reserve. That's not something that we have to do, but it's something that we choose to do, and I think it speaks to the past commissions and this particular commission as well, that we continue to do that. That's something that not every city does. I do want to make note of that as well. I think we do continue, and I like the conservative budgeting on some of the revenues and maybe being even bumping up on the expenses, and so that maybe at the end of the day we do look in a more favorable position, and maybe sales will continue to go up. I do think that that's something that our city needs to continue to focus on, is anybody and anything that might be cannibalizing our sales tax revenues, because it's so important. As you can continue to see, the 70 to 75% of all of our revenues that comes into the city is a sales tax dollar, and that's how important it is to us and our financial picture, moving forward. I know these are never easy, and making decisions about garbage fee increases and things like that is not easy for any elected official. And everybody up here that I know, and I know them all well, cares about how much the constituents, what they feel and how they feel about cost of government. Alabama and Dothan are places that have a low cost of living, but it's because we choose to be fiscally responsible. So, again, on my part, thank you for the work that's been put into it.
That's one, you got something?
Well,
I'm going to figure out what you said on the fund balance. Just remind everybody again the importance of having a fund balance and not spending every dollar.
Well, one main reason is for your credit rating. When we go to the bond market, you need to have that unassigned fund balance sitting there. And those reserves, when we went to borrowed money for City Hall, having those reserves made a huge difference in the rate we were given. Also, we're prone to hurricanes in this area. If we have a major disaster come through and it costs $10 million to replace the electric system, it may take 3 to 5 years before we get any money back from FEMA.
I know it's important. I just want to make sure everybody realizes why we save and have that.
And if I could just mention one thing, I did get a chance to spend some time with our public library personnel. They offer a lot of great resources and tools over there for the community. So I do encourage any commissioner who hasn't spent some time over there with those wonderful folks, and make sure we do our due diligence to make sure they have the funding necessary they're needed to carry on their duties and the great service they're providing to our community, because I think it's foundation for all of our education growth in our city to continue to support the library. Thank you.
Thanks for all y'all do.
Yeah, I'll make a couple comments. I just want to first start by thanking Ramona. I think this is your last budget presentation because you're going to be retiring, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say congratulations on that. Thanks so much. Since I first started talking to you a year or two ago and learned more about the city and the budget process, you've always just been so helpful and so easy to work with, and so I want to say thank you for that. Great presentation. I know we're going to probably have some follow-up questions as we kind of get in and dig into this some more, but I think a lot of things you brought up are really important. For me as a commissioner, being a steward of our taxpayer dollars is really important, and understanding where every dollar is going. I think our constituents expect that of us. And we have a very broad, diverse electorate, in the city, and some things that are important to some areas may not be as important to others, but at the end of the day, I think we have a good team here that wants to work to make our city better, and I think the mayor brought up some great points about, our fund balances and how we be conservative. I know we all want to keep the cost of living low. I think the sales tax concerns are significant. As we budget and we plan our budgets, a lot of people have wants and needs. And when you think about the sales tax, has not really gone up when you look year over year. We're losing sales tax revenue to SSUT and other things that we've been talking about as a commission on how we can do better for that. So it's hard to really plan for things that maybe aren't as critical, like infrastructure and road paving and things like that, when you don't really know what the revenue is going to be. So thank you for laying this out in a way that's easy to understand. And then I think lastly, as we kind of go through and look at these recommendations, one thing my grandfather told me when I was a young kid, he said, don't ask me for money, but don't take my input on how we spend it. And I think, when department heads and then you guys build your budgets and so forth, and you allow us to engage with you and talk with you and better understand, it's like, well, if you want my vote, we have to have some type of input. We have to understand. And you guys have been very good and very receptive to us as we've asked these questions. So I just want to thank and commend all the staff for that. Thank you.
Anybody else from commission? Okay. City manager?
Thank you. Thank you for your time today. I know this is a lot, and we would like to get any final recommendations or revisions that you want to see by August the 24th. If you want to drill down more in any of these things, just please reach out to me. And we'll set up meetings with finance and or the departments based on what it is. But we did live stream this today, and we'll also put the presentation on our website. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Well, we stand adjourned.